Now, as part of the security, the first topic is users. Salesforce users. Now, what is this Salesforce users? When I say users, why do we need it? And how do I create it? Let's say, first of all, what is the user? User is nothing but any person who wants to log into the Salesforce. Any individual person who wants to log into the Salesforce or who wants to interact with the platform, like who wants to interact with SaaS, is software as a service. So SaaS application, who wants to interact with the SaaS application or manage the data, modify it, whatever the task they wanted to do it. For all those users, for all those individual users, we will create a users. We will create a users. So users are the persons who are interacting with the Salesforce application and doing the some kind of a activities within the Salesforce. They are called as a users. Now, why do we need to use it? So, in order, the purpose is to create a users is verify the if you want to check what level of access we need to give it. Like when the user is having access, what is the level of access that we have it? How to create a users? And when we give the users, what kind of a access they will be getting it. So everything for the based on the business. If they want to log into the Salesforce, the purpose of it, we need to create a user. Now, in order to create it, you just need to go to the setup, search for a user and click on the users, click on a new button. Now let's say here, home, setup, and then search for a user. Search for user. By default, Salesforce is providing the few users. Right, these are the few users which are available. Right, so you can go to the navigation steps are setup and search for a user. Then you will be able to see the user here. Now these are the users. Now let's say here system admin. This is the profile. Now the first thing is that how many users can I create it in the org? How many users can I create it in the org? How do I know that how many users can I create it? If you want to know that, so go to the company information. Search for company information. When you search for a company information, in the company information, you will have a license. You will have a user license. This user license is going to explain that how many users can I create it in the Salesforce. So Salesforce is the license. This is the license. And how many licenses are available? Total 2 licenses. And how many used licenses? 1. So what is this means? Total 2 licenses is nothing but we can create a total 2 users. 1 license per 1 user. 1 license is already used by the user. How many remaining are there? Only 1 is a remaining. Similarly, I have a Salesforce platform license. Salesforce platform license has a 3 licenses. That means 3 users I can create it. Out of 3 users, out of these 3 licenses, that means I can create a 3 users. Do I have any users right now which is associated with this license? Salesforce platform license, no users. That means no license is used right now. And how many pending? Pending are 3 are pending. Like that, you will know that total license is equal to total number of users. Total number of users that we can create it in the Salesforce. 1 license will be associated to the 1 user. Now, in this case, total number of licenses, it says Salesforce is a 2. It says used is a 1 license and remaining is 1. Now, who is the user that is already used the Salesforce license? Now, if you go to the users, you go to the users and let's open this user. Now click on here, batch 5. When you click on a batch 5, here it says user license, Salesforce. Now 1 is already used. Who is used this one? Salesforce is used by the batch 5. Who is the batch 5? Batch 5 is the person who you have logged in. The org, when you created the org, you have specified the username, right? So that username by default, it will be assigned to the profile, which is called as a system admin. And this profile is part of the license, which is called as a Salesforce. Part of the license, which is called as a Salesforce. Right? How many are left? Right now, the license, one is left. That means I can create a one more user with the license called Sales. One more user with the license called Salesforce. Now let's go ahead and create a user here. Click on the users and let's say I'm going to create a new user. Now let's say the first name is Eric. Eric Master, and then email ID. You have to give the email ID which is a valid email ID. samskariti@gmail.com. It should be a valid email ID. Now username, you can give anything. Let's say Eric@batch5.com. Eric@batch5.com. This is the username. Now license, any license you can select it here. User license is Salesforce license. And in this license, we have a different profiles are available. So one license can contain the multiple profiles. Now profile we will see later. For now, I'm selecting the default, which I know the profile, which is called as a system admin. I'm creating the Eric and role. It says mandatory, but it's not required to be selected the role. Now I'm giving the first name, last name, email, username, anything you can give. Email should be the valid. Now title, what is the company, department, if you want to check all these things, you can check it. And these are the couple of options which we need, like do you want this user to have a service cloud access and the flow users, like if you want all these options, you can select all these options like a flow users and service cloud, offline users, right? So if you want all these things, you can select it. Debug mode. Now debug mode we will see later when we are doing the development. Now, these all checkboxes, and if you want to capture the mailing address, you can capture it. SS4, this is the SS4 is now sometime if you remember when we're trying to log into the LinkedIn or some sites I'm logging in. When I'm logging into the LinkedIn, it will ask you one option. Do you want to log in with the Google account or do you want to log in with separate account? Now you will say that I wanted to log in as a Google account and by default take the Google account and it will log in. Now that is a SS2, single sign-on information. Similarly, Salesforce also, if you want, based on the Google account, if you want to log in, or some federation ID, based on the federation ID, if you want to log in, then you can use the federation ID. In the real time, what we will do is Salesforce, you will ask you, like for the Salesforce, you need to create a credentials. In the Salesforce, we have a different clouds are there, like a community cloud, like a community cloud or a experience cloud. You have this kind of a clouds will be there. And Salesforce is a separate. So once you create a Salesforce credentials, and if you are trying to log in the community, when you wanted to log into the community based on the Salesforce credentials, right? In that case, what we will see, we will use here federation ID mapping to this, saying that use the federation ID. For this community cloud, whenever you are logging into the community cloud, use the credentials which are part of the Salesforce. Like that, we will be using the federation ID in the real time. Now that's all information and click on save. Now we have created the Eric user is created. Now, while creating the record, we have selected the generate a password. There is a one option will be there, generate a password at the bottom. Generate a new password and notify the immediately. So as soon as the record is created, immediately it will notify this person. This is the email ID. And here it says verify. That means it is yet to be verified. this user get to be verified the credentials of this one. So let's log into the Gmail. When I log into the Gmail, did I keep correct? Let's check here spam. I'm given the incorrect ID here. Email ID. Let's change it. Now let's say here, generate a new password. Click on save. So it is already taken. Let's say Eric1. Click on save. No, it should be receiving it right now. Here it is the email. Now it says this is the previous email ID and this is the current email ID. Click on this URL and it will ask you the information like a change password. So select there some password, enter some password. Click on this change password. Now once you are done, you will be able to log in as a Eric. Now here we have a Eric. Now right now logged in as a Eric. Same URL, right? Same URL. Only the thing is that we have logged in as a Eric right now. Now login is successful. So this is how we create a users in the real time. So whenever there is a request saying that you need to create a user for in this org, then you need to go to the setup, go to the users list, and then try to create a new user and provide the valid email ID and username and provide whatever the license you wanted to give the license, and then on generate a new password. Once it is verified by the end user, it will say here in the user level, it is verified. Before it was verified, right now it is verified. That means right now the email is verified. So here license is going to decide what kind of a functionality they are going to access. What kind of a functionality they are going to access. When we say Salesforce license, they will have a complete license, like complete functionality access they have it. Complete functionality access they have it. Now, when they say Salesforce platform will have a very less compared to the Salesforce license. Salesforce platform will have a maximum of standard objects, only the account and contact. It does not have a lead or opportunity you will not be able to access, right? So only few objects you will be able to access. Only few objects you will be able to access it. And then we have there are different other licenses are available, like a silver partner, gold partner. These are the different licenses which we have it, like a community plus you can create a 5 like that. You have a, there are customer community, partner community, right? They also have a different licenses. They also have a limited functionality access will be there. So each license will have a different functionality which they can handle. Like a, when I say different functionality, different objects or a different information they can access it if they have a this license. Now here I have given the license which is called as a Salesforce. That means this Eric user will have a complete admin access. Similar to the admin, they will have a complete access. If the user forgot the password, if the user is forgot the password, then you can click on, if they requested you to reset the password, go to the user level, just click on this reset password. When you click on the reset password, you will receive one message here saying that reset the password is done and there is an email went to your user. Now let me create one more user here. Now click on this new user. Let's say I'm going to create one more user. Now Salesforce, Purnima Salesforce, and then I'm going to use some email ID. I'm not giving the valid email ID here. And similarly, email ID, username, same. And in this case, I wanted to select the Salesforce license. Will I be able to create a Salesforce license? No, because the Salesforce licenses are already used. So here, used licenses are 2. Remaining licenses are 0. Now I cannot create a user with the license called Salesforce license. I cannot create it. There are no remaining licenses. All are used. The one which we have is Salesforce platform license. I'll choose the Salesforce platform license and click on is save. And let's say click on save. Here, if I click on this reset password, it will reset the password user. Click on this OK, and it will say that there is a email went to this person, and the person will be getting the one email to reset the password. Now, if you click on that link, you will be able to reset the password. So right now we have created the user, which is a Eric, which is a Salesforce license. Another user is Purnima, where we have created the Salesforce platform license. So 2 users we have created. Now let's assume that, now let's say here, let's say Purnima is, right now she is not available for almost 20 days, she is not available. Okay. Now she joined the company, everything is working fine. Immediately, because of medical emergency, she is not available. She is going for some emergency leave for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Right? When she is not available, right? So that means I do not want anybody to log in as Purnima, because what will happen is, as a record, if the Purnima is on leave, means she is on leave. There is no activity should be happen on this user. There are no activity should be happen on this user, because as per the record, this user is on leave. Now when this user is on leave, and if somebody else is trying to log in here, somebody else is trying to log in as this user and trying to perform it. So this user is not aware who is logged in as this user and trying to possible that this user is might be shared the credential to another user. So we do not want either this user or any other user. We do not want to log in as this user and do some updates because as per the record, this user is on leave. Now tomorrow, if something happens and if we check last modified by this user is there. So when we have a last modified by this user, the question will come to the this user saying that you are on leave. How did this record is updated by your name? Right? In case if there are any issues happens. So for future safety, so what we will do is we need to deactivate this user for time being. We need to deactivate this user for time being. Now, deactivate in a sense, I cannot, like if you say here deactive, that means if you check this deactive checkbox, what will happen? You are removing the licenses to this user, right? You are removing the license to this user. Before it says remaining licenses are zero. Now, if you deactivate it and click on is save, that means what you are doing is you are removing the license. You are removing the license to this user. Now let's say simple example. If this user, again, there is a one person is working in the company, Wipro company. Now the person is on the vacation, some emergency leave. So should we take out the access card completely and deactivate the access card? We don't do the deactivating the access card, right? In the record, we will say that temporarily this person is not available. But the active, the access card, it still works. Similarly, if you deactivate it, what is this means? When you deactivate it, you are removing the license for that user. You are removing the license for that user. That means access, you are removing it completely. Removing the access completely for that user. Now, when you remove the access for that user, now this is Salesforce platform user. Now here Salesforce platform user, there is nothing is available. Used license is 0. Before it was 1. Now when you remove it, so what will happen? You are removing the license. Now tomorrow new person will join. Now we will assign the license to that user. Now once this user is back, if we want to activate it, we might not find the license is available. So that time bit complications will be there. So when you know that the person is still working in the company and they are going for the just for a vacation or some emergency leave, do not deactivate this. Do not deactivate because person is still working in the company. Only the person is not available temporarily. In that case, what we will do is we have another option instead of going for a deactive. Now, right now it says that out of 3, 1 used licenses and remaining is 2. Now, instead of deactivating, just freeze it. Just freeze it. Freeze is nothing but temporarily suspending the user. Freeze is nothing but temporarily suspending the user account. That means temporarily deactivating the user. He is an active person, but temporarily deactivating it. Right? So those, if you wanted to do the deactivate, so better to go for a freeze and then if you once the person is back, then you can unfreeze it. Now, because of this, what will happen? One of the benefit is there is a license is still allocated for this user, right? That means this user still can use the license. Now, unfreeze. Unfreeze is nothing but the person is able to do it. So when I say freeze, the person will not be able to log in. Now, let's say, for example, I'm going to log in as this user right now. Let's go to the login. Now the person is able to log in, right? I'm able to log in as a Eric user. Now the person is able to log in, he has a Salesforce license. So that means this person will have a complete access. Now, if I freeze this user, let's say I'm going to freeze this user. Click on a freeze. As soon as I click on a freeze the user and just refresh. And again, if I try to log in, this user, the access to this page is not available. So it says that your username password is not correct or you have some issue, please contact your admin. I'm providing the correct password. Still it says that it's not a valid because we have freezed it. Now if I click on unfreeze and if I try to log in, click on login. They will be able to log into the Salesforce. So freeze and unfreeze is nothing but we are blocking their credentials temporarily. Now delete user. Now, for example, if the person is resigned, now Eric is resigned the company. When Eric is resigned the company, I wanted to delete this user completely. When I delete it, so is there a possibility that I can delete a user? You do not have an option, like nobody has an option to delete a user. So even Salesforce also cannot delete it. So user deletion is option is not available anywhere. So once you create a user, you cannot delete it. You can deactivate it. You can deactivate it. Deactivate is nothing but a deleting only because we are removing the licenses. So you can deactivate it, but you cannot delete it. The delete option is not available. Now, what is the reason why Salesforce does not have a delete option here? Because whenever this user is created, now this user, every user is performing certain activities, either creating a record or updating a record or writing some business logic, something which we are doing it. That means every user is indirectly linked to the certain activities that they are doing it. Right? If I delete a user, what will happen? It will delete all the related information. That means if the user is there, Eric is there. Eric is created the opportunity lead and also he has updated certain flows. Now, if I delete the Eric user, what will happen? Related opportunity gets deleted. Related leads gets deleted. Whatever the flows he has updated, those also will be modified. Entire system will be corrupted, right? Instead of you deleting it, you can what you can say here is you can deactivate it. So instead of disturbing the data, so you can deactivate it. So the Salesforce has came up with saying that delete is not available because if you use the delete, entire system gets disturbed. So when you deactivate, simply the license gets released. Now, the reason cannot be having it like each user connected to the specific role and certain level of your Salesforce database. So when you delete the user from the Salesforce, can entirely corrupt the data or disable certain data or it will disturb it. So that's the reason we do not have it. Related data would be something mess up will happen. For example, I have logged in as a Salesforce person, like what are the credentials I have created? I just logged in as my name. Now I wanted to log in as a Eric, but I don't know the password of a Eric. I don't know the password for a Eric. Now in that case, admin team, how can they log in? Now we have a one of the setup which is called as a login access policy. Click on this login access policy. there is a one option which is available. Administrator can log in as any user. You are an admin and you wanted to log in as a different user. What you can do, just enable this. If you enable it and go back to the, let's click on save. Now go back to the users. Back to the users, click on here users. When I click on the users, now you will see here option which is called login. Now you have a login option. For charter, you will not have a login option. User interface, user security, you will not have a login. So login will be available for sales. Apart from this charter and user integration, user security, you will have a login option. Right? So now if you click on this login, now I'm going to log in as a Eric. Just click on in login. So what will happen here? It will be logged in as a other user. On top level, it says that you are logged in as a Eric master. Logged in as a Eric master and click on this logout. So once you click on a logout, what is happening? It is completely logging out from your session. Right? So you are doing a logout as a Eric, but what it is doing is completely logging out from the even your credentials also like logging out. Now, in case if you do not want that option, go to the user management settings. Go to the user management settings and not the user management. We have a system. The settings which we have, security. Search here on top. It says user management setting, that is one option, and the other one which we have it session management. Session settings. Session settings, session management, and session settings. Yeah. So here we have a session settings. In the session settings, now we have a one of the option which is called as a force logout session. Force logout on the session timeout. Right. So not this one. So we have a force re-login after the login as a user. Just disable that force re-login after the login as a user. And then click on a save button. Login as a Eric. And I'll click on a logout.
Any user who you give the login access to will end up having access to the settings, right?
All users does not have access to the session settings. Only the admin will have.
Okay.
Now, if I click on a logout, once I click on a logout, it will re-log in back as a my user. Instead of completely logout, it will re-log in as a my user. So that is the benefit of disabling the checkbox in the session settings. Now, if you want to add a multiple users, then you can click on here, add multiple users. Right, at a time you wanted to add 10 users, but 10 users related to the same license. So first you need to select the license. Let's say I'm selecting the Salesforce platform license. I wanted to add a 2 users. You can add a 2 users. Let's say, for example, Rahul, Salesforce, and the email ID. You can use anything. I'm just using the email ID, and it is asking the profile for the Salesforce platform. It is a Salesforce platform user. And then I have a second user. Second user is, let's say, Sachin, and last name I'll use Salesforce and ss@gmail.com. Now here we do not have a username, right? So username, when we do not have a username here, whatever the email address I'm providing it, that's the same as a username also. It will take same as a username. Now I can create a 2 licenses. Like you can create 2 users here. Now it will first give you, when you click on add multiple users, how many users can I add it for the Salesforce platform license? How many users can I add it for the Chartered External? So everything it will give you the information. Based on the limit of the license, it will show those many options here. Now here it is only 2, it is there. So that's the reason it is giving me the only 2 users list. If I select the where it is 500, now it will give you the multiple options. Now click on a save. Let's say this is already available, gmail.com dot batch 5. Similarly, I'll use the same thing for other one. Dot batch 5, click on it, save. So we have it, Sachin and Rahul, both the users are created. Similarly, if I click on add multiple users, and if I select the license which has a more licenses, like a charter external is having a so many 500 licenses are available. So it is going to give you the list of a 10 users first. Now once you complete it, if you want to add more users, you can click on this add more users. So that's how you will be able to create a multiple users for a same license. So that's about the
How do we identify that for example, if he is a developer, this developer should get these kind of roles? How do we identify that? Like
for
we have
developers,
yeah.
we will give a system admin. So
Okay.
what kind of a license should be defined is decided by the architect. Like how do you know that? Usually if it is an internal team, now you know that this person is needed the complete access on the Salesforce. Then we will go for a license sale. Now when we know that this person is only working on the lead and opportunity, he does not work on any other, then we will give a different license. Now that license you should be able to identify. Otherwise, somebody will tell you that this is a license or this is the profile we wanted to create it. It's a technical architect or lead will be suggesting it, or else client will is going to say that this person need these different access is required.
Okay. So how do we know, like here we have like different uh, Salesforce platform, force.com, means this has Salesforce platform, it has 4 license, like that means uh, like how do we identify this one will go to which person, this like if we give this access, what kind of applications he will be able to use?
Yeah, so for that, you have a documentation, it says first of all, your main question is, when I give you this license, usually one license equal to one user. So when I assign one license equal to one user, could be any license. One license is one-to-one relationship between the one license and one user. So the question here is, how do I know that which license will have a which access?
Yes.
I wanted to know that. So we have a documentation in the Salesforce, which is going to explain you that the level of access for the functionality for the license. If you search here Salesforce license, types, and information. Now here, click on this Salesforce license type. So usually, if you like, I have already worked on the multiple projects, so I know that what kind of a license. Like here, Salesforce is a admin license. Now, if I give a Salesforce platform license, is nothing but platform will have a only standard objects, which is called as a account and contact. Need opportunity you will have. You do not have it. Only account and contact, and all the custom objects will be available on the Salesforce platform. Right, so but if you wanted to know more about the licenses, like we have a different licenses which we have it here. So this is the link. And charter user license is nothing but where they will have a only charter related. They do not have a much org information. So charter is nothing but just for a chatting it or just placing a message to another user. Right, experience cloud is they will have a different functionality is available. So it will give you the information, all the information will be available.
Okay.
But in the real time, the licenses, each license is, so when we go for a profile and permission set, you will get a more clarity of the licenses. Right now, just understand here, one license is mapped to one user, and Salesforce license is nothing but a full access we are giving it. Full access we are giving it. Now, Salesforce platform license is nothing but a compared to the Salesforce license, the platform license is very less. Right? It will have only few objects. Now, let's say customer community. Community is nothing but community related licenses. Community related licenses. Right? So here we have these type of licenses are available. Now, when we go to the profile and permission set, you will get a more clarity on the license. So just hold on for that question. But for referral, I have given the link. You can go through that link.
Okay.
Assignment, add a new user in Salesforce. And the users are like a Melissa and David. Email, just use this email and give the admin access. Admin access is nothing but you will be giving the license is Salesforce license and profile is system admin. And this is the mobile number. Similarly, another user added 10 users in Salesforce. 10 users are related to the charter free license. Now these are the different users list. So add these 10 users inside the Salesforce. And the license you will be using it, charter free license. License is charter free license. Assignment 3. Freeze the existing user in Salesforce. And description is freeze the following existing users. Like you have some users. Previously, there are few users I have explained in the assignment 1 and assignment 2. So out of those users, there are 3 users, preset and see what is happening in. And note down the observations. And the assignment 4 is try to delete the one of the user. You can delete one user and see what is happening it. So we have a different users are there, right? So try to delete this user. Now, if whether you are able to delete it or not, and what is happening if it is a non-delete. So if you deactivate it, what is happening it? So just play with that. So that's about the user, and here is the referral link and trailhead links for the practice. I have given the 2 trailhead links for the practice. That's about the user.